Hello, it's the Mark Attwood Show. Well, that was a bit of a. Where did that come from? It's the Mark Attwood Show, and it's called Adventures of the Cosmic Suit. And before I start today's show, I just want to say thank you to Roseanne Jacks for sending me this book. What are my dreams trying to tell me? Roseanne was on our self-publishing course. She's been on my show before. She's been to our events, and she's a lovely woman. And I highly recommend this book, which you can see there on Amazon. Go and get it. Really, really good. Now, it's currently Monday the 17th. Will you look at that? It's the 17th. Why is 17 important, Mark? That's actually, I'm going to just talk about that briefly because I did the show about the new book that we launched last week about what called Why Nothing Can Stop What's Coming. And, obviously, it always gets keyboard warriors saying things like, oh, you're still pushing the Q-tard stuff, you're Q-tard and all of that. And really, it's more a case of you can't ignore it, right? It's not a case of saying it's right. And it's certainly not a case of there's a savior coming because you're the savior that you're looking for. But it's too interesting not to look at. And Charles Foxtrot has written a really good book. Like I said, it's a book that I'm going to give to my mum because that's what we need. Bridges. It's a bridge. And it's deeper understanding of something that was so important, you can't ignore it. That's all it is. But personally, when there was a wonderful comment there from one lady who said, well, I'm not sure about the whole Q thing, but I trust Mark's intuition. He's been right about so many things over so many periods of time, and he seems to believe in it. It's not a question of believing. It's a question of knowing, right? And one of the things that has followed me around for a very long time now is the number 17. And you can't ignore those signals. You just can't ignore. Well, I can't ignore them. You can ignore them. You can do what you want. Go and make a cup of tea. Go and watch Critical Drinker. He's much funnier than I am. But that's interesting as well. Have you seen that Zack Snyder's Snyderverse might be coming back because of the purchase? I think this shift in consciousness is showing itself in different ways because the Superman film this year was rubbish. If you go and watch Man of Steel, and there's a lot in the Superman film, the Superman story, Jor-El, Kal-El, El, Elohim, it's very interesting. Superpowers coming online, DNA being activated. Anyway, enough of me rambling on a Monday morning. I've got an amazing guest today called Raeline Brady. And the funny story about Raeline is she happened to be on the TV in my house on YouTube. And I went, who's that? I need to interview her. Anyway, here she is. Hello.
Hey, hi Mark. Hi everyone. Great to be here.
Thanks for joining me from Australia.
Yeah.
Late at night for you, presumably. Early for me.
Yeah, I'm a night owl, so it's good for me. It's a good time.
It's good. It's always difficult for me because mornings are mental here. So I've just fended everybody off to come and have a chat with you. And it's firstly, it's lovely to meet you. Secondly, do you want to tell everybody who doesn't know who you are, what you do, and why you're here?
Sure. Hi everyone. I'm Raeline Brady, and my passion is working with the earth grids, the dragon nodes, the song lines. There are many names for them, but this has been my passion for coming in now to my 35th year. So it's very detailed. It goes very deep, and I love it. I'm a Saggy, so I love to travel. So it's right up my alley with that as well. So yeah, and things are just moving so rapid now. It's at the speed. Literally, it's at the speed of thought, but I would also say the speed of feeling. If you're feeling it, it's happening.
Can you hear that noise?
Yes.
Right. Yeah, as if by magic, I just went to shut something up.
Right on cue. Right on cue. And speaking of all the Q stuff, I actually wrote a post today, and it went something like white hat, black hat, yellow hat. And the Golden Hat Alliance is what came through, and that we're all donning our our golden crowns now. We're really moving into being solar beings now.
Well, that is interesting because I was just looking at my logo there and thinking how funny that I've got a gold, looks like a gold crown as well. Do you want to tell that story then about the yellow hat?
Mm,
Oh yeah, you don't have to.
so funny. It's so funny, but it's still formulating.
Okay.
It's still ruminating. So yeah.
And you've been to what, 12 countries in the last year? Did you say?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
a lot of air miles.
Yeah. If you go for that thing, but yeah.
Well, I don't even know if that still exists. It's just like I didn't mean the rewards program. I just meant a lot of miles in the air.
Yeah. True. True.
Especially when you live in Australia. What's it's all speeding up. And what's your role in that? What are you doing when you go on these travels? What are you actually? I know what my audience is going to love. What you're going to say now.
Yeah. So what happens is I receive directives. This is something that I've been doing since I came in. As soon as I was able to talk and I was predicting stuff, I was able to know places that my family said, no, we've never been here before, and describe everything coming up in the landscape ahead of us, which those places ended up being very important to me down the track with the earthwork and particular with the Lemurian grids within Australia. So yeah, it's sort of as soon as I could talk, I was predicting, and I was also, no, so and so's not coming to visit us today, and they'd be knocking on the door in 10 minutes and all this sort of stuff. So I came in with it. I did a good job trying not to be here, and 3 near-death experiences, I finally surrendered and went, okay, I'm meant to be here. It wasn't easy being here, being so open and not having the support. A lot of my family are very psychic, very intuitive, but not working at this level with all their clairs open from birth. But nonetheless, here I am, and I'm here to tell many tales, and still more to come.
That's interesting because I've had 3 near-death experiences as well, and I seem hell bent on not being here for quite a long time, and I think it's only in the last few.
Interesting choice of words, because on one occasion I realized that it wasn't only me not wanting me to be here.
Yeah.
So that was a big choice I had to make, and that's when all that stuff came in. When I started opening up and things were coming to me, and a choice was given to me on a night I was home alone, which never happened. I was always out with my friends at gigs, and this night this book came my way, and I opened it, and it was on witchcraft, and I was given a choice in that moment, and I chose no in that moment very clearly, and that's when all the NDE stuff started happening, and yeah, but that was part of the journey, and has taught me a lot, particularly about vibration, and that's a big part of the work as well, being able to recognize organic grids and malware grids. That is a big part of my work here. Also, my work is very much related to time, and particular galactic time, and what I call the 13 sequences of no time, which link in with the Fukius, which will be very prominent coming up on the 19th of December when AI Atlas comes in. And the sun aligns with the galactic center. This will be a big thing that brings a Fukius, which is the 13th of the zodiac, of the so-called zodiac. And there's a whole new sequence of time coming in. So a lot of our Earth's gateways, particularly, everybody's looking up and wondering what's going up in the sky, but a lot's going on within the interior of our planet and the interdimensional gateways of our planet. They're all realigning their portals back to the surface Earth. They have been shut down malevolently and benevolently for quite eons of what we would call time. And things are really opening up. And a lot of my work this whole year has been working with the volcanic chain systems and the tectonic plate systems and the Great Ring of Fire and Ice. And there's a big ignition happening on our planet and a big exaltation happening at the same time. So things are really opening up from inside our planet. We forget we have an inner sun, and a lot of what's happening with the solar flaring and the geomagnetic storms, the auroras, is also coming from what's occurring and the realignment of what's happening with the interior sun, again realigning to surface Earth and to our sun in our solar system. So this is also creating a lot of the rainbow effect and the linking up, which hasn't happened here for a long time. And there's also a lot happening with the plates that is about stabilization of the plates. And even though there appears to be a lot of rocking and rolling, there is a lot of support, particularly with those beings residing on the interior of our planet and the inner light cities, and also the dragon palaces and dragon kingdoms that are stabilizing the 2D telluric realm, which is what we would call ley lines or dragon veins. So we're getting a lot of help with this. Our bodies also house this technology, and so we're not separate from this, and this is not happening to us. It's happening for us and with us, and we're all part of our innate angelic human architecture is coming back online. And it's like we're switched on not just our cosmic GPSs, but we've switched on our transponders. If anybody knows about flying, you switch on the transponder to be able to stay connected and communicate. It's a two-way street. So this is what's happening with all the solar plasma. A lot of my work takes me into the oceans and the oceanic grids. And I had a big awakening activation through that. In the very early 2000s, I was living in Ireland, working with the sacred sites in Ireland for many years, called there. And it was the night that the big tsunami hit in 2004 in Thailand. A flood of karuna hit the planet at that time. It was very different to other tsunamis that had happened. It was actually an organic arrangement. And what had happened was all the original, what I call the A grid or the primary grid, activated from within our oceans through that tsunami. And I was called to learn to scuba dive through that. But during a whole month, I was being downloaded. But I also, at the same time, had double pneumonia and pleurisy and was laid out in my bed with my feet and hands on fire, receiving download after download about these oceanic grids. And in particular, I was also being shown that a lot of the catastrophophobia of sudden catastrophes that have happened throughout different epochs, namely Atlantis and Lemuria with the Lemurian Holocaust and the Atlantean. So the sinking of lands, inundations, earthquakes, whole continents being swallowed up, that opportunity for us to clear the catastrophophobia from our cellular memory and from the grids, particularly the fault lines over whose fault it is, the blame game of whose fault it is that Atlantis sunk. And so a lot of my work, I had to learn to scuba dive and go in underneath and work with different portals and vortices that I give the analogy of if you have a jar and the lid's not screwed on properly and the threads don't line up, that it's warped. So I would have to go down there and sit on the bottom and realign these portals and vortices. And sometimes it was quite a purge physically. I had to purge out of my regulator constantly until this went back into alignment, which is pretty hard going when you're sometimes 100 feet down in the ocean and it's rocking and rolling and with currents. So this was this was the work, and what came from that was that a whole oceanic grid system was shown to me. It was already existing. That was all those original land masses that had sunk, and there were 12 temples or arcing systems, we could call them, all around the planet. And the actual image behind me is those 12 temples. And these are part of these original, or what I call the founder races, that came to deliver the original harmonic blueprints to the earth. So much more ancient than Atlantis, Lemuria, and Hyperborea. This is connected to what we call Palladorian. And so my work has been working with the oceanic grids as well as the land grids, and the lands like deserts, for example, that were once oceans, like Wadi al-Hittan in Egypt, where there's whale bones in the desert. So I do ceremonies there with the oceanic grids. And then Uluru, another one that was once sea. And yeah, Sedona. There's lots of places. So when I go into those places, I don't see desert, I see ocean. And then I'm shown what to do with that. So yeah, over to you, Mark.
Well, I didn't want to interrupt you because I was like, and then I've had to make notes because there's so many things to unpack there.
I saw you.
It's like, where do I start? I'm going to start with the 3i Atlas because I know that's on a lot of people's minds right now. And you mentioned the date there. Was it the 19th of December?
Yes.
And, you know, there's a lot of interesting chatter about 3i Atlas. You know, it's Project Bluebeam. It's a meteor. It's an alien ship full of 5 million Draco reptilians. What's your take?
Yeah, well, what's my take is I'm bearing witness, remaining the observer. I don't know if there was, but there's something in my mind that feels like there was an episode of Star Trek where there was something like this that came in.
Hey,
and
no, that's crazy because, you know, I've had... Sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go on.
Do it. But it's like there's something that's already happened with this. And you know how Star Trek is with this stuff. They let you know what's going on and all the technologies. So I just keep feeling that there's something. I'm not a Trekkie, but something's telling me there's something to do with this where it influenced the whole psyche of the Enterprise and everyone on it, including the ship. And that my take on it is, whatever you have that is not resolved, we're already in galactic consciousness. We're already fully in that. There's no question now, you know. And what's happening now is it's already dismantled all the lower astral 4D stuff. And we're already moving into the mythical and magical realms of upper 4D, you know. And most people are connecting through nature, you know, with that. My take is that doesn't matter if it's the hopium stuff around star beings coming to take you up to 5D or beam me up Scotty, or it's the other thing where you've got the whole other thing about reptilians, or whatever's not sorted in you that is still playing out a merry jig, taking you all over the universe with your psyche. This is what I think it's doing. It's doing a big number on the psyche to get us all to move out of the seesaw effect of duality, reality, and polarity pull about who's who in the galactic zoo. And so that's why it will be giving everyone a different thing, because whatever's going on in your psyche that needs to be brought to the fore, to be brought into integration, source code integration, will be coming up to be in your face now. And I find it interesting because I love when the galactic center aligns with the sun. For me, it's the most amazing day, and I chose well because it's my birthday. So Ophiuchus is choosing to come closest to the sun on that day. So I like to feel that I'm having a good take on this as a result of that.
Well, that's it's kind of what I said something similar the other day. I said, but I think it's all these things because it's to do with consciousness. And
Yes.
I've noticed a lot of people in the last few weeks, especially, have got a bit weird around money and, other, been a bit shitty around things. And I'm like, just calm down, because that's your issue that is being brought to the surface to solve, which is what the last 5 years in particular for me have been, is like so many similarities. And I've got to talk about Star Trek for a second, because I'm clear cognizant, I've learned in the last few years, and I just kept getting Star Trek. So I've watched every single Star Trek movie from start to finish with great joy. And I was very pleased to hear that there's a new one coming in that's getting rid of the woke, weird versions that have been going on for the last 20 years recently. And the first movie is very interesting, the motion picture, because that is a big, ominous, all-powerful cloud coming towards Earth, and the only ones that can go to, the Klingons get taken out at the beginning, and then Kirk takes over the Enterprise, goes right into the middle of it, and decides not to fire, which is very Kirk-like. I mean, he's a far more intellectual captain than people realize. They think he's, and he understands this intuitively. And it turns out that it's Voyager, the satellite that was sent out in the 70s, who went to an AI planet and comes back looking for its creator, and will absorbing everything on the way until it finds its creator. And that's proper science fiction. That is, but it's all the best science fiction has truth in it.
Yeah.
And I really, it's an underrated film, but everybody should go and watch it again. Go and watch all of them up to about 8. The rest of them are shite.
Well,
But,
I will confess I haven't watched any of them since the 60s and 70s when I was a kid watching them growing up.
Go and watch them. They're great.
Yeah, well, I've started just now as a result of getting that download. I thought, I think there's something here I need to be checking out.
Well, it's definitely, I mean, I did an event here last month, and one of my subscribers, Polly, came along, and the first thing she did was give me a Star Trek badge. And I was like, why are you giving me a Star Trek? Oh, okay. And she's very tuned in. So thanks, Polly, for that. Yeah, so so on the 19th, is there, should people be, well, this, I'm thinking of what the audience is thinking. So they're probably going to be thinking, do I need to prepare for this? Is there something I should be doing? What's going to happen on the 19th? What can you tell them?
Do what you usually do on the 19th of December, because it's been happening,
Yeah.
Every year since you've been on this planet. So what I feel is, obviously around solstices, to observe sun, observe the sun.
Well, I'm glad you've mentioned the sun. Now, the interior sun of the Earth, is that the same as the black sun? Is that the same as the Vril Society's logo? Is nothing to do with that?
No.
Now, yeah, I want to dig into that. So if you could explain what you mean by the interior sun of the Earth, and then if you know anything about how that relates to the Order of the Black Sun and the Vril Society, I'd like to touch upon that briefly, because there's a very interesting roundabout near me, which is near a sacred site near here in the west of Ireland, which is in the same pattern as the Vril Society logo, which is the black sun. So I'd be interested to know what you think about, because I'm sure you'll know something about that, won't you?
Yeah, something.
Okay, well, far away. Tell us about the interior sun.
Well, many planets have inner suns, organic inner suns. So we're talking about a whole lot of systems that hijack the organic, or the what I call the originator gates, and they can't create. So these are not self-creating. They can only hijack and piggyback off original or organic. And it doesn't matter what it is, whether it's timelines, wormholes, they're piggybacking and hijacking the originator gates.
Well, that sounds very similar to the Archon energy that have no creativity but are good at stealing energy and
mimicking.
Yeah,
It's AI. It's machinery. They're machinery. See, when you're working with sun, you're working with pure solar magnetism, which is an organic thing. And the piggybacking can only come from the mimicry, which isn't in real time. It isn't coming from a source-guided connection. It's coming from a mechanical connection. So it's really, and you just apply it to all the things that are going on all those levels that we know about. And that's how it works. And when you know that, you can easily dismantle it and disconnect yourself from it. And you can work with disconnecting it where you're seeing it show up. I mean, Indigenous people know about this. They know a lot about this. And yes, some are working, and some, like here, Aboriginal, it's called humbug, and it's like, it's not business to me. Okay, so they don't go near it. And then there's others that, it is their forte to go there. But you don't go looking for it. It shows up in the field. And if you're meant to know about it, you know about it. And it's not like you avoid it, or, because the most important thing is to integrate this stuff as it arises in your field and in the field of the land that you're working with. And it does, it shows up. For me, it shows up. And it's there. But, I don't go and try and combat with it, because I know that by anchoring and alchemizing through source and source code, it overrides that piggybacking. And that sounds very easy peasy, but there are a lot of levels and protocols and directives and processes that are undertaken to do that. And that's more technical of grid work. But if people want to, connect with grid work or connect with star seeds, a lot of it involves star seed involvement, different groups for sure. The first thing to do is go to your nearest body of water to your home. Go connect in with a tree, a park, a forest, and exchange codes. And what happens is, I got shown this in a forest in Poland, where I asked questions, and I was told, let us scan you first to see how we can best answer that question according to your consciousness. Now, this is something that Aboriginal culture, they normally do. They go in and they read the field and barcode scan the field, and they can tell what's going on, just as they can tell what's going on with human. And the whole thing with this is, we get what we're ready for, no more, no less. But when we go in and we start to connect, particularly regularly or automatic right, ask the right questions, get the right answers, we can start to develop frequency matching with those places. And what happens from that is, and this can be with anything, even looking up at the stars at night, but what happens through forest groves and through stone circles, when you do that for some time, you really start connecting. After a while, you're not just connecting in with the Davic realm and receiving guidance, you're actually allowing the energies to step down through those places to actually connect in with star beings as well. And so the frequency changes, and then this is a nice, easy, safe way to connect in with star beings, is through connection with the divinity codes held in nature.
Well, it's very interesting. That word frequency matching just came into through my lips 5 years ago, and I started using it, and it just came in, and that's why I've never cared about subscribers or views or anything like that. I'm like, whatever we put out will be found by the right people at the right time. And one of the regular comments over the years has been, why can't I see the ships? And I'm like, well, you see them when you're ready, and it's not like, and there's no competition. And this is what I'm trying to tell people. And I think part of what I do is just let everybody know it's going to be okay. Just hold on and keep doing the work. And a lot of the work is subconscious, like locations. I mean, you're going around the world being called to places. I feel like I've done the same thing. And sometimes you go places and you're like, gee, what am I doing? This is hard. This is actually quite difficult. And that's been a big lesson for me, is like, you know, you go, I mean, even the town that I'm in was calling me in 30 years ago nearly, and I never expected to be here. And one of the things I said a few years back is that everybody's exactly where they're supposed to be, and it just hit me as like points of light and consciousness. But one of the really interesting things for me has been the amount of charlatans, should I say, or people connecting to the wrong thing, or people pretending that they're guru. One of the things I love about you is that you're just you, and you don't pretend to be a guru. And yet that a lot of people are out there who do that, and are pulling people this way and this way and this way. What's your take on all of that?
Yeah, it's not for me, you know.
No.
Quite simply, people say, you know, like, I do a lot of stuff and I pay it forward a hell of a lot. But for me, it's like, I can't do it. It doesn't work for me. Everything shuts down if I try to do so-called spiritual business.
Yeah.
I've been very, very fortunate where I don't know, I don't question it, but things come my way without having to do all the usual things that people do to keep a roof over their head. And I don't know how things like this happen, but they do. I have not. I've been very protected from certain things that people have had to do and subscribe to unwillingly and unwittingly throughout their lives. Haven't had to go down those paths in this lifetime, and I don't question it. And occasionally the red carpet rolls out, and fantastic, because I do like all that too. But people say things like, well, how do we find you? And I'm like, I don't know, you'll just find me on socials or whatever. I don't have a website. I don't have anything. People just find me. I don't have anything. And you know what? I like it that way. And people say,
Oh, it's
well,
great.
what do you do? What do you do? And I said, as little as possible.
Yeah, I wish I could say the same. I seem to be doing as much as possible, but that's just part of who I am. I've got to ask you about. You mentioned the fact that you were in Ireland. Whereabouts were you? Which sites did you work on?
Mainly, I was based in Dublin, mainly Tara, and mainly the sites in Meath, but all over. And I was taking groups all over, and doing one-on-one sessions and doing workshops in Ireland. And I have so many beautiful Anam Cara connections in Ireland. It is. I'm a Brady O'Brien, so I am from that bloodline, and you know, it was being called, literally called, to come and work with the sites in Ireland, and the most extraordinary things have happened to me at those sites, being pulled into other realms and experiencing myself in those realms and welcome back, and but at the same time bilocating, so seeing myself dancing around a ring of apple trees with apples and flowers on the trees, which shows that it is a mythical realm experience happening, and then at the same time feeling the freezing cold of, you know, the hill of Tara, you know, at Leofel. It's you know, some amazing experiences have occurred in Ireland. A lot of ET activity, a lot of very strong ET activity for me around, you know, Cliffs of Moher, and one of these dolphin dreaming temples that are the symbols on the circle behind me. Ireland, yes, beautiful.
Cliffs of Moher.
Beautiful. Well, one of these temples is at the Cliffs of Moher, and the dolphin dreaming temples, and the dolphins came back to that area when that was opened. They started to come back in numbers to that area, so that was beautiful. And yeah, a lot of activities, a lot of tic-tac activities, a lot of stuff where things are very powerfully pulled through me to the land through those activities, affecting my body very strongly. Things like one of my functions is as a Gaian midwife, so, but I actually go through physical birthing while doing that, contractions and the like, and it can happen at any time. It's happened twice this year, once in Angkor and in Bali this year, where I'm birthing things. Again in Tara, 7 hours of birthing.
So you literally go through the physical symptoms of giving birth. And what are you giving birth to? Is that the body just? I mean, you mentioned tectonic plates earlier, which I thought was interesting, because that's just, it's happening in the skull as well. What's happening in the earth is happening in us, right?
Yeah. So to answer that question, a lot of my work and a lot of the protocols I've been given and shown is how the tectonic plates are very similar to the brain plates. And the tectonic plates, you know, when babies are born, it's very malleable, it's very flexible, and we've got the fontanelle, and everything just moves beautifully and is all fluid, and, you know, all the cerebral spinal fluid, which is made from our amniotic fluid of our mum when we're in the womb, all that is just, you know, just beautifully flowing. And so a lot of the work this year has been getting that all flowing from the mother back through what's called the plasma pools and the plasma pearls membrane that encases things like golden eggs from the dragon and dragons and the dragon realm. So that's a lot of what I've been birthing as well. But these brain plates and tectonic plates, originally our volcanoes weren't meant to be reactive. They were more responsive, and everything was a lot more fluid and harmonious with the what I call the water memory field and the harmonic blueprints of our planet. So I'm delighted to say that, yes, there is a lot of shaking up, but we have to realize that our reactions are our contributions. There's a lot of people that are sharing, oh my God, there's been 7 earthquakes in Japan. And, you know, it's like, yes, there are always earthquakes in Japan. And yes, there are some, but we have to know that this is all part of what's opening up now. And You know, we're 80% water, and we are very connected in with the emotional stratum of our planet. And we have a responsibility to be able to respond to the Earth Mother's calling at any moment and not get into what I said, the catastrophophobia of, you know, the stuff. Oh, last time I got to that frequency level and adjusted my frequency band, you know, the earth opened up and swallowed me, or a big tsunami came along and wiped me out. And this is the stuff that we are working through now through our cellular memory. And more the merrier, I say, because this is what's going to get the job done. That's why we're here. We're here. We're not here to go anywhere else. It's not about the geographicals. Our planet has all the dimensions that you could ever possibly consider right here. And she is the crown jewel. You know, all the beings are lining up to take birth here now. This is where it's at. And you know, we're here. You know, I say all the time, many are here, but not everyone's arrived, because we get caught up in all this stuff and we misconceive of ourselves, and we don't get to bring through and birth our beautiful stellar gifts and our Earth Star gifts. And we abort mission. And so we come here and we're just going through the motions and get caught up in other stuff that, you know, is part of 3D and 4D, you know, netting mechanisms, looping mechanisms. So a lot of the work this year and what's been happening is, and through the solar flaring and the geomagnetic storms, is that we are removing the time, the trauma time stamps and the emotional hooking mechanisms that have had us on this hamster wheel, stuck with this ceiling that's been put over the lower astral of 4D. And we are breaking through it. And on the other end, the solar flaring, and particularly the X flares, and when the auroras happen, like has just happened this week, I've just taken the most incredible photos from my deck of auroras. And what's happening is that upper magnetosphere is actually the brain, the planetary brain. That's what that is. And so what's happening with that magnetosphere is that it is piercing through the veils and the netting of the lower magnetosphere, the lower mind. So our mental body is actually our solar body. And when we see our solar body, our mental body, starting to respond with the solar influxing, we can see what's happening here. Things are changing up fast. Every month, you know, like there's so many things you think, oh my God, it can't get any better than this. And then the next month goes by and go, what the? You know, it's just going gangbusters. And I say to people, you know, we're no longer, this is not a test run or a rerun. We're on the home run now. We are well and truly on the home run. And it's glorious.
It is glorious. I use that word quite a bit. My phrase for that is clinging to the side of the swimming pool. You know, when we flip back to the programming that's been put upon us, and it's all about let go, trust, you're going to be fine, which I think is which is in line with what you're saying, which is brilliant. So we've got an optimistic view of the future, which is beautiful. And
I'm a Sagittarius. We're the eternal optimist.
Well, I'm an Aries. I'm an optimist as well. I was actually reading something this morning that said, because I describe myself as an apocalyptimist, because the apocalypse is just the unveiling.
I saw that.
And I was actually reading, so I think I posted it on Telegram, which was about being an optimist actually reduces your chance of heart attack by 35%, guys. You know, and all those doomsayers, and we're the creators, right? So
I'll take it.
I just
every
don't.
time.
Yeah, you got to keep laughing and you got to keep being optimistic.
Yeah.
And you can't die anyway. So what's the problem? I mean, this is my whole message, really.
This is the point. This is the point. The nature of the soul is, in Sanskrit, it's called Satchitananda, which means eternally full of knowledge and bliss.
Yeah.
So that's our natural state. Everything else is malarkey.
Now, I don't do this very often, but can I play you a poem?
Absolutely.
And this contains stuff I got this contains Lemurian words. That's why I want to play it to you. But it also ties in with Tolkien and True History of the Earth. Anyway, if I could play it, that'd be thank you. If you guys don't want to listen, you can go and do something else. But I just want to play this for Raeline. Let me just dig it out.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark.
There and back again. Ma ha ka wa ta he. He ta wa ka ha ma. There and back again. Do you see? Multi-dimensional beings are we. From the energy of the first light, through the calendar of the light of days, with the veil down, we were in a haze. 1 to 10 and back again. In the darkness we held each other tightly, until the light came. The dragon blood, the Taki, the Akashic potentiality. At the speed of memory, we came, there and back again. From the I am to the we are, we came far, there and back again.
Beautiful.
Short and sweet.
Kurianae toko, hora te kiae te ka as to kora tuti. Isa te kiana haro toko oceana. To baiko nariku, one who has remembered themselves as coming from the pure royal stellar lineages.
Every time you speak, I get goosebumps. You know that. Yeah. No, wow. Okay, I feel a bit emotional now. I'm very emotional. I don't know if you knew that.
It's the remembering. It's the putting, and this is the thing about living in Ireland. When we walk the land and we walk in the rhythm of the land, particularly in the Emerald Isle, which is holding the Emerald Orders, the arcing of our innate covenants through Ireland, when we walk the land and we get into that rhythm, we put back the dismembered parts of self. We remember ourselves. And it's so natural there to do that. So natural, like the breath.
Which
so
is
you've chosen well. You've chosen.
I didn't choose.
Yeah, well, Mark didn't choose, but
No,
you
Mark,
chose.
Yes.
You chose.
Yes. That's right. Mark did not choose. I was living in Marrakesh before here. It was very hot and nice.
Great place. I've been about 7 times. It's one of those places that just makes the cells zing. The food, the culture, the architecture, the mosaic. Oh my God, the mosaic is just so activating. I love it.
It is. And like Ireland and Morocco, like everywhere, this dark grid has held things, but it can't survive. And I see beautiful things every single day of people, just local people anecdotally waking up and starting to see the light. And if I go back to Morocco, I go and see my friend Khalid, who lives on $8 a day, and he's he's Muslim, and he's a beautiful human being, and so is his whole family. And there's nothing, all these division labels that get thrown on people and everything else are. They would be amusing, but there's still a lot of people not understanding that all of that is for them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
the hard part, because they can't get their head around the injustice or the violence or the horribleness of certain things. But it was like, my dad died when I was 17, and I had to turn the life support machine off, and I was in a state of injustice, and I hated God for quite a long period of time, and I drank and I took drugs, and I wanted to die, really. But then one day I realized it was for me, because without that experience, I wouldn't be who I am now. And
Exactly.
my dad came to me and said he did it for me to become me.
Mark, I had exactly the same thing when my dad was killed in a car accident suddenly at 13. And I went on the exact same path, and he came to me and said exactly the same thing.
Oh, wow.
And I know him he is a druid. And so this is part of my lineage, my Celtic lineage. And he's one of my main guides as a druid. And he's not just an earth druid, he's also a star druid. And yes, there are such things. And it's very beautiful to have that connection and to know that they are so close to us, particularly when we're in nature, and it's comforting. When I first started and opened everything opened up suddenly when I stopped, taking drugs and got clean finally. I was just like, I was on a roller coaster ride, for years. And it was so bizarre because, one day I could be in the street with, prostitutes, junkies, all, the down and outs on the street. The next day, literally, I could be in five-star hotels on tours, running around the planet on big tours with the most famous rock stars, drinking Veuve Clicquot and having caviar. And it was such a weird thing. But it showed me that, if you don't have a spiritual anchor in this world and you don't know who you are, it doesn't matter how much fame or notoriety or money you have, you're up shit creek in a barbed wire canoe, really, without a paddle. And for me, it was like a cosmic joke on me, because the rock stars then transformed into the rocks and the stars. And that's working with megalithic sites and the stars, and the connection of those gateways and portals, and how we are the conduits for bringing heaven on earth now.
Wow. Yeah. I was thinking of Kipling's line, "If you can walk with kings and not lose the common touch," as you were saying that. And I rewrote that poem 5 years ago as well. But anyway, enough of poems.
Saw that.
Dragons.
Can I just say one more thing? My
Yeah.
great grandmother had amazing sayings. She was funny as anything. But one of her sayings was, "The world is arse up for want of an Irish king."
That sounds like my nan.
It wasn't until I got to Ireland that I knew that I started to understand
Yeah. This
what that
country.
meant. We all used to laugh and go, "Oh, isn't she funny? And she says such strange things." And, and then it was like all these wise words made into the most funniest little statements. But when I got there and I knew what it is and what the role of the High Kings was for the land and for the divine feminine in its pure state, I went, yeah, she's got it. She knows what's going on here.
Yeah. Did you ever go to Ishnock?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, I was just there. We had a beautiful ceremony on Ishnock just in May now. Oh, God, it was divine.
No, you were here in You were here this year.
Yeah.
Well, you got to ring me next time you come over.
Yeah, I will.
Because I'm not coming to Australia because I've got too many spiders. You know that.
You're coming. I've
And I have to
told you
be,
this already. I've
I
told
have
you
to be
this already,
dragged
mate.
there.
You're coming. You're coming.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
Put it
Well,
this. You got a bed.
I've got a what?
A bed.
I've got a
You got a bed.
bed. Right. Right.
Hmm.
Right. Yeah.
You've got your own little apartment actually, but yeah,
Oh, right.
you've got somewhere to stay, and yeah, we'd have a lot of fun down here.
Well,
And
I'm due to do a tour. I'm trying to organise a tour in New Zealand. I might as well go to Australia.
oh
But
my God,
we'll
you
talk
have
about.
to
We'll
just
talk
hop,
about.
skip, jump. Yes, we will. We will.
Let's talk about dragons. Just we've not got long left on this chat, but I didn't get the whole dragon thing. I'll be honest with you. You know, people talking about. I met people that were talking about dragons all the time, and then one day, about 4 years ago, I saw a light coming towards me, and I was with a friend who's always seen the fairies, and we were just talking, and I said, "Hang on, there's a UFO over there," because I always look up. I see the ships all the time, right? So I was like, "There's a UFO, but that's quite low. That's weird, and it's a different kind of light." And it was flying towards us, and as it went above us, it was a dragon made of light. Literally, I can see where it flew from where I'm sat, and that changed my whole opinion about dragons because I know what I saw. I had a witness. I wasn't drinking much. I wasn't on drugs. It was a dragon, and I was like, "Wow!" And that's right here. And there's been a lot of interesting dragon experiences, Sydney. So for the sake of me and the viewers, I mean, people like Kerry Kay talk about the dragons coming to life, and also I think it was watching you when I realized that, and you mentioned Japan earlier, that Japan is a dragon. I'm just
Mm.
gonna show everybody that, just in case they've never realized it before, because
Yeah.
it's so obvious when you look at it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And this ties in with, I mean, how for anybody watching this, and I don't imagine there's many, but for anybody watching this who doesn't get that, can you explain that and how the dragons fit into all of this?
Well, we can see that these are the upper 4D realms. And when our consciousness is attuned with that frequency, we can start to interact with the mythical realms. And a lot of indigenous cultures work, innately with mythos. That is like, as near and dear to them as the breath. And so, it's what I call suspended animation when we see stones now starting to become animated, trees becoming animated, crystals becoming animated, and the things that we perceived previously as inanimate are starting to reanimating, and I say they are reanimating through us. It is us that is bringing them back to life through acknowledging them, starting to weave the mythos together with them, and to reignite the storytelling, and to reframe the mythos through us. It's not set in stone. We are now reframing mythos. All the stories about certain mythological beings, particularly star beings. Orion gets a bum rap all the time. Draco gets a bum rap all the time. The mother dragon has been reanimating and getting a lot of her divine body parts back, particularly on Draco. The mother dragon received her eyesight back. Her third eye was opened up. And this is opening up all the pineal portals all over our planet, all over the planetary body. In Japan, the mother dragon had her umbilical cord, or her navel severed. And that umbilical cord is being reconnected back to the stars as well. And also the heart is being reconnected. And I've mentioned to Mark that through that map of Japan, there is a severing right through the navel, where the top part of Japan is on a US frequency generator, and the lower part of Japan is on a German generator, both on two voltage systems, both on two frequency systems. So this has caused a severing through the body and the ley lines of Japan. So the work in Japan now was to reconnect the umbilical cord of the Dragon Mother. And from that, a lot of connection to our solar plexus. This is also happening through Uluru. Uluru is our solar plexus of the planetary body. The solar plexus chakra is Uluru. And through Uluru, the umbilical cord is attached to Uluru. You can see it very clearly, and that is called Nalgawadi. And in the mythos, it is the Earth Mother that births the sun. And in Aboriginal law, star law, the sun is feminine. And so there's this amazing exchange in the morning where the mother gives to the child, and then at sunset, the child gives back to the mother through this umbilical cord. And it keeps the amniotic fluids, what I call the plasma pools, in fluidity, and the not just the amniotic fluid, but the cerebral spinal fluid, all the nourishment that comes through the umbilical cord, all that's returning to us. And this is why I say we are not just reweaving in with mythos, but we are reframing mythos. And the mother principle is connected to the star system of Lyra, and a lot of our stellar DNA, all the stellar DNA, the stellar groups, star-seeded groups, come through that Lyran, what I call the Lyran mother codon, and that is all being reconnected back again. The lost chord of creation is being resounded through Lyra's harp, which connects in with the harp of Erin, of Eru. So this is, I mean, Ireland has a major part to play in opening up the hearts of humanity. Major.
Yeah, I know that's true. And that's I've got a few more questions, but I think it's good to end on an hour. And I want to thank you for coming on today. And I'm going to ask you if you're going to be available around the 19th, 20th of December to do another one.
I think I'll be back by then.
Well, let me know, because it'd be great to talk about the 20th of December. Would be perfect if you
no matter where I am, I'll try and get good into, unless I'm in the air, but I'll try and get good internet. And
no, that'd be brilliant. And there's nowhere for people to catch up with you. You'll just find it if you're meant to.
Yeah, I do the Facebook thing. Raeline SQS Brady. SQS means soul quintessence system, which means we are a soul in quintessence. And it is our soul in quintessence that is actually making the biggest changes on this planet right now. Not everything's happening outside of ourselves.
Well, that's a lovely episode of Apocalyptimism to start the week on. Thanks for coming on. Thanks everybody for watching.
Thank you.
Do you want to give us, what was that light language you want to do before we go? Or that language you were doing earlier? Yeah. I'll shut up. There you go.
E kuri ana haro toko isai te ki e ana haro toko uporo te Kuranai e taka o sura te ki ira taka aro toko Isnaxatuturtis. Isnaxtukuratis. Tarututuhuratakayetes. Uknortutukarutukoti. Purtukurataki. Estai kain harutuku urtiki. Ertuku urtiki isayana. Esayanako. Esayanako. Kurtuku urtiki. Epuku. 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 Uturti. Ena. Enako. That was a blessing from the Golden Dragons and from a Lemurian aspect of myself called Kitiyanka, she who is of the oceanic stars and resides with the blue pearl cult in under the oceans of Mu.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
See you soon.